Yeah, I'm going to talk for a few minutes today about Axis cameras, which pair really nicely with the Alertus platform. At Axis, we think that there's more to the camera than meets the eye. There's a lot of value behind the scenes we can touch on. One of our tenets is high quality imaging. We want to get you the best image possible, no matter what the conditions are. And we have a lot of technologies that help enable that. Built for real environments, whether it's indoor, outdoor, hot, cold. We feel like we have a camera for your needs, and that's built to last. Processing at the edge, there's a lot of these applications running on the edge of the camera, so the camera itself, and it's saving on more complex setups with clouded servers. And finally, foundation for analytics. With these processing at the edge, we can enable a lot of insights through video analytics, whether it's something we offer ourselves or pass on the metadata to various software providers. So pulling back the curtain a little bit, you might think, okay, this isn't a camera. The RPEC is our chip. The Axis actually launched the industry's first network camera in 1996 and the first network camera ASIC chip in 1999, the RPEC 1. We're now on the RPEC 9. Allows us to really tailor the chip for video surveillance for our needs. So it's not shared with other types of functions. And it, each iteration of the chip kind of gets faster and more efficient in various different ways. One of the cool things about this chip is that we launched AV1 codec support. We're actually the first video manufacturer to include this in a camera, in a video surveillance camera. And it's especially useful for high resolution video at reduced bit rate. So it's helped saving on bandwidth and storage for all the customers. So yeah, I'm really excited about RPEC 9, and it's kind of the secret sauce that's powering everything else. So one of the things that the RPEC helps power is video analytics. We have a product called Axis Object Analytics. It's a very straightforward name. I know that's kind of how we do things. It's really just a suite of analytics for actionable insights, detecting, classifying, tracking, counting humans and vehicles. So it's doing a lot of the things you see in the bottom left there. And we really try to make this as easy to configure as these things really can be, that you can kind of plug and play with minimal, tinkering around. And they're all pre-installed at no extra cost on the camera. So, if you don't like it, you can simply turn it off. But if you do, it's going to be on all the newer cameras right when you power them up. Some of the examples you see on the right, I know the images are kind of small. There's one of a store or warehouse with a box in front of the door, so blocked exit. So not only is this a safety hazard, but it could be a finable offense from inspectors. So in this case, the camera is set up to look for things that shouldn't be happening in that area. They see a box in front of the door for a specified amount of time, and then it triggers an alert to the operator who can either do a talk down message or have that automatically play. And by the way, those audio alerts can definitely be tied in through the alerter system too. And the other example is in the bottom right is a construction workers walking to an area with no hard hat on. And the camera is again set up to detect things that are happening like this. So it triggers an alert to the operator who can take the appropriate action to get this person to put their PP equipment on. So it can do a lot of different configurable things, detecting humans in vehicles in various ways. Yeah, this is just an example of our portfolio of dome cameras. We have, and it's really just one style of camera. We have all sorts of different styles, box, bullet, pan tilt zoom, you name it. What I want to show with this is that we have a camera for every type of need. And domes are really the most popular in the Americas because of their aesthetic style and just the mix of different features that you can get from them. Honestly, whether you buy one camera for your house to track your grass growing, or you're securing a critical infrastructure site from perimeter infiltration. We have a dome camera that can fit those type of needs. Going up through our M, P, and Q series. They start at sort of entry level basic features and then move all the way up to the mission critical one. These are some of the technologies behind the scenes that you don't notice right away, right? Like, a camera is definitely more than just a plastic components with a lens and chip in it. When you talk about getting you the best image possible, there's things like light finder and forensic wide dynamic range. If you ever try to take a picture into the sun with your iPhone, it probably doesn't work that well. But if it had forensic wide dynamic range, then it's giving you the best mix of light and dark areas to give you a usable image. It's not always going to be the prettiest, best photogenic image, but it's going to be a usable image that can be that you could do something with. Whereas, Light Finder can give you a light color image in near darkness. If you have complete darkness, like a closet, that's when you use optimized IR that could still give you that light image. Um, there's things like the AV1 and Zipstream that help you save on bandwidth and storage and kind of cut out unnecessary costs. There's image stabilization that if you have a camera up on a pole and it's very windy, it can stable out the image to again give you a usable image. That's sort of the goal, is to give you whatever the conditions are, to give you something that you can work with either proactively or forensically to figure out what happened and kind of meet your needs there. And then finally, there's something called Axis Edge Vault, which is an application installed on the cameras to pretty much make them a very cyber ready device. So there's a lot of things that go into the camera that contribute to all these different types of technologies that you can use, giving you more value from one single camera. And last, I just want to talk about a tool we have called Site Designer. Again, it's very, very straightforward. It's helps you design sites. No one is really expected to be an Axis camera, especially not expert right away, especially not right away. And this tool helps you kind of learn very fast, right? You can import maps of your sites. You can use it without maps and pick out different cameras that might fit your environment or needs. And you could say, oh, I'm required to store video for 14 days. Okay, plug in those calculations, and it could help determine bandwidth needs, storage needs, power requirements. If you want to mount a camera on a ceiling versus a wall, it's going to give you the right accessory, and then it pulls everything together nicely and help generates a proposal for you to take to your customer, or if you are a customer, then help design your own site there. So you don't need to be an expert at every little accessory and piece that goes into it. If you just know kind of what, in general, what are you trying to accomplish with this video device, then you can kind of plug that in and get the information you need. So that's a tool on our website called the Site Designer. And with
Thanks,
that, I'm
Drew.
going to pass it to Megan.
Thanks, Drew. I'd first like to talk about some of our Alertus products. We have some products that can trigger alerts and some other products that can be triggered by our system. To start off with, we have several different types of panic buttons. You can see in these first couple pictures that we have several different form factors, and each of these panic buttons has its own communication method. Some of them are directly plug and play, while others, like the Wi-Fi panic button, use more technical protocols to find things like location and other valuable information to the user. We also have a fire panel integration so that your fire panel system can just directly trigger Alertus. We also have a feature called Threat Watcher, which is an RSS feed monitoring feature, which allows users to monitor weather alerts automatically. So if you get a tornado warning or something a little bit more urgent, your system can be automatically activated by that. We also have a product called the Rapid Response Console, which is a touchscreen kiosk, which allows users to easily activate alerts on the fly. We're having some difficulties changing the slide. Just 1 second. There it goes. Okay. And now continuing on with our Alertus products, we have several different ways of activating an alert. These are devices that will activate when your Alertus alert goes off. We have our alert beacon, which has a light, a siren, and a nice text screen, which shows the contents of your alert for ease of access. We have SIP and VoIP phones that directly connect to our server. We also have high power speaker arrays, which are our outdoor speaker. These are great for large outdoor environments like football fields or college campuses. We also have our Alert Aware mobile app, which allows users to be targeted via email, text, push notification, and via voice call. We have our Alertus desktop notification client. This allows users to be targeted with a full desktop takeover. Our desktop notification is fully customizable, so you could have full screen alerts, scrolling tickers, maybe just the corner of your screen, and those can be fully customized to suit your organization's needs. And finally, we have a feature called 911 Connect. This allows you to get in touch with 911 immediately using your Alertus system. Okay, so to put it all together, the Alertus server can combine these different types of devices to make one comprehensive solution. We have something called custom event triggers, which are essentially if-then statements. For example, if a specific panic button is pressed, maybe you want to trigger the lockdown alert. So that just makes your system fully configurable, and your access devices are able to be included in those custom event triggers as well. We also have the ability to group devices together. You can target several devices with the same alert. If you take advantage of this, lots of our customers like to group devices based on location. This helps to achieve that zoning rather than just having your arbitrary groups. Kind of applying that meaning to your groups really helps unify your system. And then finally, our server is capable of generating text to speech. This is really crucial for our integration with Axis as we are a life safety solution. So this really turns your devices into that life safety audio devices. So you're able to send text to speech messages rather than relying on live audio or a pre-recorded message, which may not be as specific as you would like. So our integration with Axis is bidirectional, which means that um, the Alertus server can activate Axis devices, and it can also be triggered by Axis devices. So I'm going to pass it over to Drew to talk about one of these examples.
Thanks, Megan. Yeah, it's pretty simple actually. So the Axis has Axis camera has an API call, or Axis speaker too have an API call that could be triggered by Alertus. So it could be passing a video file or an audio file over the server to the different products. It could be an event that triggers. I talked about some of those analytics earlier, right? You could have a person walking by and in a specified zone where they shouldn't be, and that would trigger an event that would go to the various alerting devices. So it's all going to be an API call between Axis and Alertus, and it's going to look pretty smooth, to an operator. It's all sort of the backend integration that we've worked out here.
Awesome. Thanks, Drew. And then as for activating Axis devices via Alertus, you could utilize one of those triggering devices that I mentioned earlier. For example, the Alertus hardwired panic button can integrate with your Alertus server. When you press the button, that tells the Alertus server to go ahead and send that API call to our Axis devices, triggering both audio and some of their visual appliances. And that is everything we have for you today. I'm going to go ahead and pass it back to Claire to handle our questions.
Thank you, guys. Now let's dive into the Q&A portion of this session. Please submit any questions and comments that you may have in the chat. Okay, we have received one question so far. I believe this is for Drew. Are analytics built into my existing Axis camera?
Yes, for the most part, that's going to be yes. Any new cameras within the past 4 or 5 years, absolutely. Depending on how far back your cameras are, they might look or work a little bit different. But yeah, it's all, the analytics that we offer, those object analytics are running on the camera, installed at no cost. So when you power up that camera, it's going to be there for you to use.
The next question we have is, with the bidirectional integration, is the Alertus solution able to be activated from Axis endpoints?
Yeah, I can take that question. Absolutely. With our bidirectional integration, you can use either Axis products or Alertus products as that trigger. But then once the system is triggered, you can configure your system to activate either Alertus products or Axis products. So you could fully just mix and mash your entire solution with Axis and Alertus.
The next question we have is, can you briefly explain the USB multi-panic button? What software/hardware does that require?
Sure. Yeah, our multi-USB panic button. Claire, do you mind going back to that slide for me? We have a picture on the triggering devices slide. So that's actually just a USB panic button. It plugs directly into your PC. It requires the Alertus desktop notification client, which I think we cover on the next slide. But if you can see, I know the picture is a little bit small. Each of those buttons corresponds to a different preset alert that is already built out within your system. So what you do is you just press one of those buttons, and then the confirm button will light up. Then you just press that confirm button, and those are the two clicks that you need to go ahead and activate your system.
The next question we have is, I missed how the connection between Alertus and Axis connect.
Sure. I think if Megan, if you could go to one of the slides that we talked about how we can trigger the software there.
And then what's the differences between the multi-panic button and the activation buttons?
Yeah, so the multi-panic button, as I just went over, is a USB panic button that is tied to our desktop notification client, whereas the hardwired and the Wi-Fi alert activation module, those are peripherals to, sorry, the hardwired panic button is a peripheral to our alert beacon product. Our alert beacon can be used to trigger or be triggered by several other peripherals, including that hardware activation button. The Wi-Fi alert activation module, which is a really similar looking form factor to the hardwired, except it operates completely over Wi-Fi, so it's wireless. That operates the same way as our Wi-Fi panic button, which is like a handheld device. Those just connect directly to your Alertus server.
All right, the last question we have is, how do Axis and Alertus work together in a real-world emergency scenario?
Yeah, I think it goes back to the last question too. We do have a visual. I don't know if we're able to pull that up, but there's a couple different ways we could either on the camera or audio side. The cameras could trigger events to the different Alertus products or give you a visual on something that's happening. And then on the audio side, the the Axis speakers can be used as an endpoint for Alertus notification. So if you're calling out some sort of messaging, then you could use the Axis speaker. So they're working on both the video and the audio sides through different scenarios.
All right, we have one more question actually. Are you able to use Axis PA speakers in place of the Alertus TTS speakers? If so, are there any additional subscription or licensing costs to consider?
Yep, that is absolutely possible. Lots of systems might already have Axis devices installed. In that case, we recommend that you use our network audio page. That is an additional license, but doing so, you can connect many different Axis audio devices at once. You can utilize our grouping function to group those together. And then you can use our pre-recorded or our text-to-speech activations to send audio to those.
All right, I see one question about the recording for this webinar, and yes, it will be emailed to all the registrants at the conclusion of the webinar. If that's all the questions we have, thanks again to Megan and Drew, and thanks to everyone for joining us today. If you have questions or need additional information, please feel free to email us at events@alertus.com, and we will be happy to assist you. Thanks, everyone, and have a great day.
Thank you.